We got an awesome video planned for you guys today because on today's show, I'm going to give you my 53-man roster projection after OTAs and after minicamp have fully wrapped up. Now we're just looking forward to training camp. A little bit of a reminder of all the additions in the offseason. Baltimore drafted 11 players, signed 17 UDFAs, and roster cutdown day will happen on August 27th, so about 2 months away. Now, the Ravens do still have some pretty big needs, okay? I think safety, inside linebacker, interior defensive line, and interior offensive line. I would not be surprised out of all those 4 positions if there's 1 or 2 players still signed from now until August 27th. The final roster cutdown day happens. Regardless, though, I'm going to give you the 53-man for the current players on this roster. What say you guys? Speaking of that roster, do the Ravens have the best roster in the National Football League? If you think they do, cast your vote by hitting that thumbs up button and liking today's video. And if you don't think so, go ahead, comment down below who you think has the best roster. One of the reasons they got the best roster is because of one Mr. Lamar Jackson. Obviously, he's going to take up that number 1 spot. Cooper Rush taking up that number 2 quarterback spot. And I'm going to be honest with you, I still really, really like the Cooper Rush signing. Okay, I think it was one of the most underrated moves in free agency. Now, backup quarterbacks are very interesting because they're the last people you ever want to see on the field. Unless it's the end of the fourth quarter, then you would gladly welcome them to play. I hope I never have to see Cooper Rush throw a football in the first, second, or third quarter in a game this season. But if we do, I feel confident in his ability to win games just because of all the talent that surrounds him on offense. And a big part in that, of course, is Mr. Derrick Henry. We go to the running back room. I went ahead and added Patrick Ricard in this mix as well. I would not be surprised if they only take 3 running backs and a fullback, because last year they took 4 running backs and a fullback and only 5 wide receivers. I think they're going to take 6 wide receivers this year. That eliminates one of the running backs. It's going to go to Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, Keaton Mitchell. Of course, Patrick Ricard will be the fullback on this roster. I think that Henry, Hill, and Mitchell are going to be a little bit like a 3-headed monster this year. Okay, I think Keaton Mitchell fully healthy, not a rookie anymore, which is the last time we really saw him fully healthy before he tore his ACL against Jacksonville in the 2023 season. I think he's going to be a wonderful little addition to what Justice Hill and Derrick Henry had together last year, okay? Justice Hill, he's a guy who can do it both on the ground and through the air. Keaton Mitchell's more of just your generic running back. I think he's going to give a lot to Derrick Henry in the terms of rest and just another look for this offense. Out of those 2 guys, though, Justice Hill and Keaton Mitchell, who do you think has more rush yards in 2025? I'm not talking all-purpose yards, okay? Because if we're all-purpose, I'd probably lean Justice Hill just because what he does catching the football. But if we're just talking rushing yards, do you think it's Hill or do you think it's Mitchell? Give me a JH or a KM in the comment section down below. On to the wide receiver room now. Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, DeAndre Hopkins, Tylan Wallace, Devontae Walker, and filling up that last and 12th spot for the wide receivers, I've got LeJontay Wester. Now, I will say, a battle to watch for in training camp and in the preseason games is going to be LeJontay Wester against Dayton Wade. Now, Dayton Wade, he's one that is he's very familiar when it comes to position battles, I should say. However, the last one he did have last year against Deontay Hardy, he ended up losing it. But he's got another year under his system, was on the practice squad last year, and I think he has a good chance to compete with LeJontay Wester. When you talk about the town not being big enough for the both of them, that's twofold. It's not big enough to have both of them on this roster, and it's just they're not very big, right? 5'9", 183 pounds for Wade, 163 for Wester. Very similar age, very similar 40 times, very similar broad jumps. And because of all that, I think they might, tip the scales a little bit to LeJontay Wester, just because he's their most recent draft pick. And just because he's a little bit more of a weapon when it comes to special teams. Wade can still do that, but can he do it at the same level that Wester can? I don't think so. Let's go to the tight end room. One of my favorite position groups on this team. Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, Charlie Kolar. Those are your 3 tight ends heading into the 2025 season. I don't think that's going to change at all, okay? Now, the big question mark is, who is going to be the tight end 1 on this roster? I don't know if you're ever going to get that answer until like 8 games to the season when you see he's producing better. Because I think they're both going to play very similar snaps. I think they're both going to get very similar targets. You're going to see a lot of 12 personnel. They're both going to be on the field at the same time a lot in this season. But I think at the end of the season, we're going to know who Lamar Jackson, Todd Monken, and this team thinks is the real tight end one on this roster. Out of Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, who do you think has more receiving yards in 2025? Do you think it's Likely or do you think it is Andrews? Let me know. Cast your vote in the comment section down below by typing their initials. So give me an IL or an MA. To the offensive line we go. Ronnie Stanley, Andrew Voorhees, Tyler Linderbaum, Daniel Faalele, and Roger Rosengarten. I think if you just look at that left side, in my opinion, 16 to 20, Ronnie to Rosengarten is how your offensive line is going to line up from left tackle all the way to right tackle. Then you look at the secondary players, right? Your backups, Ben Cleveland, Carson Vincent, Emory Jones Jr., Garrett Dellinger, all three of those players drafted in the 2025 NFL draft. And then, of course, you signed Joe Noteboom, a free agent, most recently played with the Los Angeles Rams. I feel pretty good about this room. Now, I would love to have a little bit of a better piece on the inside at guard. I would not be surprised if Ben Cleveland, fought for a roster spot with Andrew Voorhees, possibly was even the left guard, starting left guard come week 1. I just want the best left guard in there, whether it's Voorhees, whether it's Cleveland, whether it's somebody else, okay? But for the depth on this team and the depth in this offensive line room, I don't feel half bad about it. We're through the offense, and I need to know, do you love the offensive roster? If you do, show me by liking today's video. I think it's one of the best in the National Football League, and if you agree with me, do me one big favor, hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you guys head to chatsports.com/RavensUSA. In just under a week, we will be celebrating 4th of July, and I cannot wait. It is one of my favorite holidays. I think it might be the most underrated holiday. And if you want to look good while eating 100 hot dogs, while drinking 100 Miller Lights, go ahead and go to chatsports.com/RavensUSA. Support Fanatics. Support us here at the Ravens Rundown. Support your Baltimore Ravens. Support America. You can hit all 4 of them if you go to chatsports.com/RavensUSA. The link's in the comments and description of today's video. Let's go to the defensive side. We're going to start with the big boys up front. Broderick Washington, Travis Jones, Nnamdi Madubuike, Anais Peebles, and John Jenkins. I think those are going to be your 5 interior defensive linemen. This group is going to be interesting, okay? I hope Nnamdi Madubuike takes a big step up, and I hope there's a lot of health in this room, because behind John Jenkins, I don't really feel good about anybody else on this defensive line. I would not be surprised if they went and looked to add in that aspect at the trade deadline. I think that could definitely happen. Let's look at the linebackers now. Let's head back a little bit. Roquan Smith, Trenton Simpson, Teddy Buchanan, and I've got Chandler Martin taking up my last linebacker spot. I think it's going to be either Chandler Martin or it's going to be Jake Hummel, the free agent you signed with Las Vegas. But so far during OTAs and minicamp, Chandler Martin, the undrafted free agent out of Memphis, has really, really impressed. Here's Ryan Mink on what he's been able to do. Undrafted linebacker Chandler Martin nearly came up with a pick for the second time during OTAs thus far. And if you're an undrafted free agent, the way you make this roster is by making plays in OTAs, making plays in minicamp, making plays in training camp, and making plays in the preseason. You didn't come into this competition having the upper hand. You're an undrafted free agent. They didn't think you were good enough to spend a draft pick on. They thought you were good enough to sign and say, hey, maybe he can make a spot. Chandler Martin needs to continue to do that, and if he does so, I think he's athletic enough. I think he's got the upside, a really high upside, enough to get a roster spot. Make the call for me. Which UDFA will make the 53-man roster? Do you think it's Martin? Do you think it's somebody else? Let me know your answer in the comment section down below. To the cornerback room, or excuse me, not cornerbacks yet. Let's talk about outside linebackers first. I got ahead of myself. Kyle Van Noy, Adafe Owe, Mike Green, Adisa Isaac, and Tavius Robinson. He takes up that last spot, and with him taking that last spot, I think it's time to say goodbye to David Ojabo. You took a risk on him. You drafted him after a big injury, and unfortunately, he just hasn't been able to perform the way you wanted him to, okay? You gave him enough chances. I don't think he played very well last season. I think Tavius Robinson actually really impressed me, especially when you think about the playoff game against Buffalo. I think he was the best defensive player we had in that game. A lot of stops, a lot of really good tackles, a lot of solo tackles as well. Great in run defense, is a plus-side pass rusher, and so, this is just a group that's going to have a lot on their backs. Kyle Van Noy, Dafe Owe, how are they going to back up double-digit sack seasons? Is Mike Green going to be really, really good, as everybody thought he was going into the draft? Adisa Isaac, he was hurt last year. Is he going to take that next step a year after being a third-round pick? Like, there's a lot of question marks, and if they answer those, this defense is going to be phenomenal. A big reason why this defense is going to be good is because the cornerback room has improved immensely from last year to this one, in my opinion. Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins, Jair Alexander, Chidobe Awuzie, and TJ Tampa. That's going to be your 5 cornerbacks going into this season. This is a really, really good group right here, okay? Jair Alexander made this a really, really good group. Before that, I thought it was fine. I thought it was good enough to compete. I don't know if I thought it was good enough to compete for Super Bowls, but if this is a group that stays healthy, especially at that top 3 with Wiggins, Jair, and Humphrey, man, they're really, really good. And I love the depth that Chidobe Awuzie and TJ Tampa are going to provide. Wonderful depth pieces. Would not be surprised if TJ Tampa next season in 2026 took that step up and was one of the starting corners on this roster. Along with the cornerbacks, the final spot on the defense, let's talk safeties. Okay, you got Kyle Hamilton, Malachi Starks, Bo Braid, Sanusi Kane, Jalen Armour-Davis, and Desmond Igbinosun. The reason I have Jalen Armour-Davis right there in that safety room, I know he plays corner, I know he played corner last year, but he's been getting some reps at safety ever since our Darius Washington went down. And then I would not be shocked if looking at that safety room, if they added somewhere in there. Okay, whether it's in free agency, you still got a lot of really good options. The current recording of this video, Justin Simmons, Julian Blackman, Jordan Whitehead, 3 guys that are still available to rock and roll. I don't think they would be very expensive. I just think that safety, you got 2 really good starters, and you got a lot of depth pieces that are really big question marks. So I would not mind one bit if they add in the safety room. We're going to round this out with the specialists, Tyler Loop, Jordan Stout, Nick Moore. That's your kicker, your punter, and your long snapper right there. A lot of eyes on Tyler Loop during training camp. He didn't end minicamp the way a lot of us wanted him to, right? And missed 4 field goals, all of them 50-plus a couple of weeks ago. And he's going to have to fill some big shoes with Justin Tucker. I know Tucker didn't have the greatest season last year. Regardless, Tucker is going to be one of the best kickers in the history of this league, maybe the best kicker in the history of this league. And Tyler Loop is the guy that's coming after him. Okay, there's going to be a lot that rides on Loop in a rookie year. Let me know, which of those position groups are you most confident in? Give me your answer in the comment section down below. I either think it's running backs or tight ends. Actually, I'm probably going to go with tight ends. You let me know your answer. Make sure you got me on social media at Joey Petersen 8 on both of those platforms. Instagram, Twitter, find me right there. And also make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We do this thing daily. Really appreciate everybody who's joined us so far. You can be the next one by hitting that sub button.